Hi all. I was asked earlier, I did a huge blunder against Step by Step. I thought I had a brilliant position here. He just played Queen G4. I don't know what on earth this was about, because he's letting me sacrifice a pawn to get even more pressure against his king. Now the reason I'm so excited in this position after Rook G5 is that I've parried like Knight F5 check, which was his main threat, and getting a sort of counter attack. And in terms of access paths, after Rook G5, Queen takes H4, loads have been lit up. Here's one, here's another, here's yet another, and here's yet one more. And this causes a lot of excitement. And just to add one extra one, so we've got all of these access paths kind of lit up all of a sudden without too many issues. These bishops are striking down the diagonals, the rooks are coordinating, and okay, so what is white doing? And I think a weakness of the last move basically occurred through over-optimism, over-excitement. So Bishop D6, fine. If we look from an engine point of view, Bishop D6 is a good coordinating move. It prepares Rook H8. Okay, it's not mentioned, but okay, maybe it is mentioned down the line. Bishop D6, it's a reasonable move. Now it's second, Bishop D6. That's what I played. I'm doing very, very well here. He plays H3. Which is a big blunder actually, because now I can make Rook H8 even more effective if I just stop the Queen swinging across. And I can do that with Bishop F4. I missed this opportunity for Bishop F4. We're looking at plus 2.14 against someone, an IM, who I was happy to beat the other day, who's 24-40. But the point I want to make here, okay, well, let's get to the blunder. There is a point, an idea, a question rather, not an answer, a question for discussion on YouTube for the first time on this particular subject, which I don't think anyone on YouTube has asked before. And there is a common expression in business. So if you're in a business environment, there's a common expression about keeping your head down. Actually, I wasn't even thinking of that. My original question to myself, you know, I looked on the iPhone, why did I horrifically blunder coming up? And, okay, the easy answer, oh, it's blitz, blunder, and then thinking, well, maybe it was an instance of the weakness of the last move. So here, okay, even in this position, after Rook H8, I'm still doing very well. Even after this move, still doing very well. So Queen E4, and here I blunder horrifically. But there's a very good move, it seems, F5 here. I'm not exactly sure why this is strong. Maybe because of F4 coming up. Queen F3, Queen D6. Now this is an example of nice little neat moves. Because now actually here, Queen takes E6 would be threatened, wouldn't it? For Bishop takes F3. This is a nice little crawling move. And this is the point, the question I have, actually, for everyone on YouTube. You've just been overexcited with about 5 different access paths to the opponent's king. This reflects basically overexcitement, this position. You've got this position in a 5-minute game, limited time for calculation, and okay, I blunder horrifically because I didn't notice actually the bishop can go backwards. I've just blundered an entire rook and then it's lost in an instant. But okay, now the question I have is about this weakness of the last move. So we have to assume our calculations at the best of times, even in long games, even in one-day chess, we miscalculate. Even, you know, the weakness of the last move is evident even in one-day games. I know that for sure. I've beaten players who spent a long time. You look at their very last move and it has a weakness associated with it. And we haven't really discussed how can we sort of ensure or reduce the possibility of weakness of the last move. And suddenly this kind of metaphor hit me, actually, of if only I had crawled along gradually. I actually felt like, and you know, like in a recent film, I've seen Snow White and something, a great film. You know, they didn't just go charging to the castle to invade the king, the evil queen's castle. You know, the little dwarves sorted out the entrance first, and then they went charging in. At least it was like control charge. If they'd just gone in straight in, it would be ineffective. They'd be stopped at the gates, stuff would be pulled over them, they'd all be dead. Now here, okay, I sort of charged in with Rook takes H3. So the question is, Just kind of a metaphor. This is just a metaphor, which may or may not be useful. Is the access routes to the castle, the fortress here. Imagine this, the metaphorical castle, which is what chess sometimes represents. If it's a war game, you want to storm the castle. Do you go all in, or can you crawl gradually to the king's castle? Now, crawling gradually would be perhaps a move like f5 and queen d6, just very small steps. Keeping one's head down is another expression, I think, often. Now, to keep one's head down is an English expression. I don't know how well this translates to other languages and cultures, but in business environment, at your job, if you keep your head down, you don't try and do anything of great significance, because you don't want to get involved in any arguments or controversy. And rook takes h3 is a move of great significance. It's like charging in, but a move like f5 perhaps could be argued as being less significant. And definitely a move like queen d6 is very neat here because it's blockading this pawn, and it seems to be of very little significance, just one little tiny step, but it's of great significance. Now that's just an example, but no, the basic thing I want to express is the metaphor. Actually, if we want to cope with the weakness of the last move, and we know the access routes here for sure. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 access routes to the opponent's king. So what about this idea of crawling along slowly? Has anyone ever thought of that before? Or keeping one's head down but being aware of the access routes? Because this queen d6, even here, just queen d6, maybe not even f5. Would queen d6 be that terrible? Let's just put a few more moves. There's a few different ways of crawling in, surely. Queen d6 is one of them. It shows here. Fourth move. It's keeping one's head down. It's the metaphor of keeping one's head down, because queen d6 is creating the potential for queen e6 when this pin is more effective. So then, maybe later f5 can be discovered. So again, the metaphor I'm really questioning in this video. We're aware of the access routes to storm the opponent's king. We don't want to get overexcited and cause a weakness of the last move issue. If you've got great calculation skills in 5-minute chess, then this video could be completely irrelevant. For those of you with fragile calculation skills, like me, maybe this could be a useful metaphor that we see, in other contexts, the idea of keeping one's head down. But I originally thought, it's a bit like crawling along. But when you crawl along, slowly, you don't want to make a noise, and you're sort of keeping your head down anyway. So it's the same sort of principle, crawling along, keeping one's head down. Is it a potential way of addressing the weakness of the last move issues? If you're aware of the attacking route to the opponent's king, you're very excited, but you want to control that excitement and proceed carefully and gradually, less calculation overhead. There is possibly knight takes c4 here though after queen d6. For the record, let's just examine knight takes c4, because it seems that's a strong move here. Why wouldn't that be a strong move? Is it because a bishop takes f2 or something? So not takes because a rook takes b7, but actually queen g3. Yes, this is nice as well. We're on f2. If the knight goes back, we can now, apparently take. The queen's got to keep protecting g2. Now rook e8. Okay, now there's a big threat of rook takes e6, deflecting the queen away from g2. So this is getting very exciting. Say white tries to defend like this. Bishop takes d5. It could all come crashing down. The access routes are there on the diagonal and on the vertical. I just thought it was a very exciting position to generate total over-optimism, because I had parried the main threat with rook h5. It was a great resource, I thought, rook h5 to come to g5. But all the access routes have lit up here to the opponent's king. So you've got this state of over-optimism, which I think I've noted in one or two previous videos, creates over-optimism, creates the climate for weakness in the last move, for over-optimistic moves. So maybe the idea of keeping one's head down is kind of pretending not to be that optimistic in the moves, but being aware of the attacking routes. Okay, it's just some thoughts, comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks so much.